Welcome back to another episode of Tribe of Unicorns. I'm your host, Kendra Beavis, and today I have with me Nika Stewart. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. So excited to talk to you and your tribe of unicorns.
Oh, thank you. Well, you are one of the most unicorn-esque people I know. Um, so I'm so excited to make you an official unicorn. I'm going to send you
Yay.
some stickers.
Okay, good. I need those.
So you most recently just came out with a book. It's called Actually I Can, Rewriting the Rules of Resilience. And I wanted you to come on the show and talk about that because I met you years and years and years ago at a women's conference. I think it was with the Saver Sisters with
Yeah.
Leah Jansen. I was there with her.
Wow.
And I remember you having this incredibly gorgeous, luxurious black hair. I actually ran into you in the bathroom and I was like, oh, that woman is so beautiful.
Oh,
And over the years, I've stayed in your universe a little bit, and I'm one of your community members, students. Yeah. So I just wanted you to come on and talk about like what that has been like for you well, first of all, what it is that you went through, if you don't mind jumping into that.
yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you liking my hair. I liked my hair too. And so I unfortunately lost it to chemotherapy. I always felt like my identity was my hair and my breasts because I had large breasts and that was who I was. So I was a woman with big hair and big breasts. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at first, it looked like it was something small, but each test that we took showed that it was a little worse than we originally thought. So from a tiny lumpectomy, which is not tiny, obviously, although the doctors said to me at the time, oh, it's so easy, it'll be like a haircut. So the male doctors were like,
Of
it's a
course.
simple little procedure. You'll just have cut out a piece of your breasts and you won't, will be so easy. You won't even remember it in a few months. It went from that, which is ridiculous, to having to have a double mastectomy and removing almost all of my lymph nodes, and then seeing from the results of the samples that they took, that I needed 5 months of intensive chemotherapy and 6 weeks of radiation, and I'm on medication for years. And so I lost my breasts, and then from chemotherapy lost all my hair, and kind of had to rewrite my identity and be okay with it or not. But I chose to write my own story, and not only what I had seen when I was diagnosed with cancer, that I was told, join the support groups. There are lots of people going through this, so you're not alone. You're in a terrible club, but there's lots of supportive people. And everyone out there, it seemed to me, was fighting. And they were saying, F you, cancer, and you're a warrior. And while all of that seemed like the right thing, it works for apparently most people, it felt wrong to me. And so I couldn't fight the fact that I was losing my breasts. I
Right.
couldn't fight the fact that I was losing my hair. There are ways to fight it, but it felt like I would be miserable if I did that. So I thought I could accept it, but that also didn't feel good enough. And so I chose to embrace it and look for the reasons that this was actually good. And that turned everything around, and it helped me find funny things all the time, every day, for the first year and a half that I was going through the toughest parts of my journey. I laughed. I found things to laugh at every day, and I started sharing those things with the world, with social media, with videos. And apparently it resonated. My videos have at this point reached almost 400 million people.
Wow.
And because of that, it fueled me wanting to share more and more of my story of how to embrace adversity and allow challenging things to become not obstacles, but actually opportunities, like your biggest gift.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned and what I want to share.
It was such a, and I love that you said you chose, because I think a lot of people feel like when they're going through something that seems insurmountable that they're a victim of their situation. And by
Yeah.
you choosing to take a different outlook and use it as fuel for who the next person you are going to become was, I just think that is so incredibly brave, powerful, strong. It was one of the things when I was watching your videos that made me feel like so good about humanity, people,
Mm.
because you do see that on social media for the most part, people kind of coming out with anger instead of how can I come at this with a different set of eyeballs? Maybe it's love, maybe it's humor. But the way you embraced your situation and then the way you then served was so impressive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that it was brave, but I truly believe that it was like the only thing to do. The
Yeah.
reason I fight, it's not like modesty. Oh, I wasn't brave. I was, but I believe that we all have this. So I don't want people to think, well, because she's brave and strong, she could do this.
Right.
It wasn't that. It truly was easier to do what I did than to be brave and be a warrior and fight it. I'm not saying that's wrong. If that works for you, be a fighter. Be someone in a store recently, we were chatting and she said, well, my friend, when she found out she had cancer, I said to her, I don't even remember the words, but, curse words, like be an
Right, right,
effing
right.
mother effing bit, all these things that I don't usually use those words.
Yeah.
But like, and I was like, yes, that works for some people to feel like that fighter. It felt much easier to me to make the journey my friend, to
Mm.
make cancer my friend and adventure with her rather than fight her. It made life easier. So I believe that although it may appear brave, and yes, of course, I was brave, we're all brave, but we all are. And if this is easier for you and makes your life and your journey easier, it's a suggestion for you.
It's so funny because I never thought about like the support groups and things like that, especially if you're very empathic, that being a really heavy place for you to be, and being okay with looking at how can I find support in a different way.
That's so interesting. I never really even thought about that, but that must have been it. Like I would join the groups and then just feel everyone's pain. And that wasn't, it kind of was selfish. Like I'm in the group, I need support, and going in there and hearing the things that weren't supporting me, I couldn't be part of the group. So being part of a support group wasn't helpful to me, and it wasn't my way of supporting other people.
Right.
Sharing how I was going through it in just like I was just documenting what I was going through. I wasn't My goal was not to inspire others or to share anything. It really was just for me to document what I was going through, and to have fun, like to add fun. For me, documenting and then making fun videos and writing fun social media posts, that for me was fun. And because other people appreciated it, like I said, it fueled me and made me want to do it more. And then because it seemed to really touch people, I realized I need to have a book out so that more people can get, if they need that kind of counterintuitive way to deal with adversity.
Well, because I think we're all different people. I mean, everyone kind of approaches things, feels differently about also. So there's got to be solutions for everybody. It's not always what's mainstream and what you see in front of you. I know when I was going through, when I was getting sober, I tried to go to AA. I was like, this is the thing. You have to do this. And I couldn't sit in those rooms. And I loved everybody that was sitting there and I appreciated them and their vulnerability for sharing, but it made me feel so heavy and sad, and I couldn't heal and work on myself in that situation. Now I would love to go back and talk to people and share what I'd learned, but for me in that moment it wasn't helpful and it didn't allow me to heal
Wow.
what I needed to heal.
I love hearing that. I'm so glad you shared that because I think that's similar. Like the thing, it brings up this philosophy that I've always had, which is all of the rules are made up. Like
Yes.
everything that we like, everyone goes to AA when they want to get sober. That's what you do. When I got my diagnosis, I felt like I was put on a conveyor belt. Like, here's what you do. You follow the path that people who get a diagnosis follow. When you want to get sober, you follow the path that people who want to get sober follow. And if you jump off of that path, it could be scary because there is no path. It's like it's a jungle and you have to take your is it what is it, a scythe? I don't even know what the
Yeah.
you cut down you have to figure it out yourself. There's no path. You have
Yeah.
to make your own path. For many of us, that is the way to do it. Because if the path, the rule that someone else made up, like every rule out there, and I'm not talking about laws, we all need to be good people and follow the law, but rules of society, of how you should live your life, they're all made up by another person, so make up your own rules that work for you.
I love that. What was your life like before cancer? Did you have this mindset in small ways that you notice now?
Yes, I realized that I believe that I was able to get through a very tough journey with positivity and laughter because I practiced that type of philosophy and type of mindset with little things. And things didn't feel so little, but when I got my cancer diagnosis, when you get a big thing happens in your life, you realize some other things that were so tough at the time were kind of little. Uh, and but I realized I would do things like something challenging would happen, and most people would go, I'm angry or I'm gonna feel depressed for a while, and I need to get back to that because I think it is okay to feel angry and depressed.
Yeah.
But I would, if that wasn't working, like I'd feel that feeling if that was my instinct. And then I would think, what would make this better? What thought would give me a feeling that would lead to actions that would give me better results? Because if my thought was, this is awful, it's the worst thing that ever happened, that would make me depressed. And that would lead to hiding under my covers and retreating from the world and not solving the problem that happened. But that means it's my choice. I can deliberately choose thoughts about the events and circumstances like a client leaving, like losing a job, like your computer freezing up, the weather, someone else's feelings, a disease happening. None of these things are in our control. In fact, one of the things that we think is in our control is someone else's behaviors or feelings. That's also not in our control. But we have 100% control of the story we tell ourselves about the event. And sometimes the story should lead to anger or depression because that will give you better results. I talk in my book about how when I was diagnosed with cancer and left on my own, it was just, I got an email that said, here's your results, good luck. And they didn't even say good luck. It was just, and now I have these results that I don't really understand. And I have to find a doctor, find someone who will see me when none of the doctors would see me, when the insurance wouldn't help me, when people said, well, we could see you in 3 months. I could have told myself a story. Well, this is how it works. I'll get through this and had patience. But it turns out that would have led to very bad results because the cancer, it turned out, was spreading. And so I chose thoughts that made me feel angry
Mm-hmm.
and impatient. And that led to me and my husband staying on the phone for hours and hours and hours until someone would see me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good thing. So sometimes those negative emotions are positive for us because they lead to the results that we want. The point, though, is that it is our choice. It always is our choice.
When I was going through my divorce, I saw the people around me that had been divorced and they were so angry for
Yes.
years, like decades sometime. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So
Okay.
I chose to look at it differently. I chose to decide that, you know, uh, this is a blessing. I'm a better, stronger person having gone through what I went through with him. And I also chose to forgive him, and I chose to forgive myself for choosing him. So now, I mean, and quite quickly, we were able to get to a really good place where we get along. We're there for our kids. Our current partners both get along too. So for me, it was
Wow.
seeing what I didn't want my outcome to be, and then kind of doing the opposite, which it seems like you kind of took that route as well.
I think, yeah, very similar. And as we're talking, and we're talking all sunshine and roses, like terrible things happen, and we just chose to be happy and
Oh no, it was
positive.
hard.
Um, yeah, so we get there, but I also want to say, because this is something I don't think I was able to kind of say it in the right words, but because of another situation that has happened to me recently, I realized that even though we can choose our story and choose our emotions, sometimes we want to stay in anger or depression or those lower level emotions and give ourselves permission to feel that way as long as we need to.
Yeah.
Because if you try to immediately jump into something
Right.
positive, you stay stuck longer, I have found. Don't feel guilty about feeling sad. You're allowed, of course you should feel sad. And you're like, but I want to get into positivity. Not yet.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to feel sad as long as you want to, and then it becomes easier to decide how you want to feel.
I feel like those times where you need to feel those emotions, like the sadness and anger, it's also like a almost like a simmering time where you're really kind of working through like or looking back and understanding what happened. And like very kind of like, calm before the storm, almost, where you're not ready to take action because you have to live in that, analyze it. Like it's definitely a necessary part of transforming it from any stage in your life or getting through anything. um,
Yeah,
you're 100%
absolutely.
right.
Yeah. And when I am in that simmering stage, if I fight it, it feels worse and it lasts longer.
Yeah.
When I accept it, I suddenly feel a little better. Like,
Yeah.
no, I have permission to feel crappy right now. And I will as long as I want. When I say that, it doesn't last as long. So,
Right. I actually, I was just talking about this with somebody the other day because I think those moments, like, they can take a long time, but I think giving yourself permission to feel good inside of those times too, where like when you're in grief, for instance, but something you need to laugh about something, but you feel funny about it because, oh, well, or maybe you felt this way too, like you're in the middle of a chemo treatment and something was amusing, but you're sitting there and you're supposed to be sad and you're supposed to,
yeah.
did you experience that as well?
Uh, for me, I think the situation like chemo was easy for me to feel the laughter because it was about me.
Right.
I believe that there are situations where if you're sad and it has to do with someone else, perhaps the guilt, I can understand the guilt coming up for feel like, should I feel happy? Should I laugh? I didn't have that much because I kept feeling like this is I'm going through it, so I can deal with this the way I want to. But now that you say it, a lot of me putting out positivity was for other people, was for my family who I was worried about, feeling like they were worried and anxious. And I did want to show them that they were allowed to laugh even if they were anxious. So me laughing gave them permission to
And
laugh.
probably millions of other people permission too.
I hope so. And that's what that was the comments I was getting. And that's why I kept going.
I love that. So your book is all about resilience. So I'd love to go back further though and talk about, what was young Nika like, and
Ah.
you're an entrepreneur as well, so I'd love to see how that has changed the way you do business and the way you look at that.
Yeah, well, the one thing in my life, typically, I've noticed over the years of my businesses that I've started and run, they tend to be I do something in life or in business by accident, it works, and then I want to teach others how to do it. And then a lot of times people will say, now that I know how to do it, I just wish you would do it for me. And so many of the businesses I have run started with me learning something, teaching it to others, and then figuring out a way to scale that and create a business out of doing it for other people. So for the past 14 years, I've run a social media agency because in the early days of social media, I somehow figured out how to get business. I was running an interior design business and I used social media to build my business. So I started teaching others how to do social media. That turned into a social media business. During my cancer journey, when I started going viral with my videos, I started teaching others how to go viral with video. And that's what I have a coaching business, teaching viral video. We have Done For You, where we create viral videos for people. So it's very, and now that my book has come out and become a bestseller quickly, I am now teaching people how to become a bestseller. So that's kind of what I like. Those are my businesses, teaching people how to do what I've learned how to do.
And where did that come from, this entrepreneurial fire? Did you grow up in a family business, or can you look back and see the breadcrumbs to that?
No. My dad was a lawyer and did have his own practice. So even though I never thought of him as an entrepreneur, he ran his own business. He had to do his own marketing and advertising to get clients. And I didn't realize that or the terms for it growing up. But my mom was a teacher who worked a traditional, not 9 to 5 hours, but that traditional 9 to 5, have a job, get a paycheck, have a boss with certain hours. And so I always, even as a kid, would start businesses, like make hair barrettes and sell them in school. My brother and I would come up with something and like sell things in school. I made sneakers and I called that Sneaka by Nika. And I painted sneakers and sold them like in high school, I think that was. But so I didn't know, like that's just who I was. And when I went to college and decided I'm starting my own business, my mom was completely against it because she said that's not, it's not smart, it's not safe.
Safe, yeah.
And 30 years ago, I think she thought that having a job was the safest thing to have. We have learned that that is not that, and I heard her mindset, but I have realized over the years that like I can choose my own, like if I need to create income, if I have a job like that, I'm at a limit with my own business. I can put out a new product, get new clients. We can always, just like we have control over how we deal with adversity, we have control of our own income as well as entrepreneurs. And the freedom is, I always think at senior year, at the end of my senior year in college, where all of my friends and roommates were going to job fairs and handing out their resumes to get it, it's time to get a job. And they would say to me, "Are you coming?" And I would say, "No, I'm going to start my own business." And they all said, "Oh my God, you're so brave." And I thought the complete opposite.
Oh,
Like
really?
I'm taking the easy way out. Writing out who you are and handing it to a stranger and hoping that they like who you are and want to give you money, that felt very brave to me and scary. So I was taking the easy way out and giving myself a job.
That's so funny. I never thought of it like that. Well, you were talking about like the freedom to scale, and um, when when you were in the place of, I mean, I would imagine you couldn't really work as much. So, I mean, if was that a benefit also as an entrepreneur, being able to kind of scale back, or did you scale up your team?
That's a great question. Number one, I love the freedom to and the flexibility to, if something unexpected happens, you can figure out ways around it. Of course, you need to set up your business in a way that allows that, because if you are working for yourself and you're a solopreneur and you don't have systems or outsourcing, then if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So I knew that luckily for years, I had known that. So I had a team and I had systems so that when I had to take one day a week off to spend in chemotherapy and another 1 or 2 days a week off to feel horrible, I did, but I had a team and I had systems where they could follow it and they stepped up. We didn't hire new people. It turns out that this all was happening just around lockdown time for
Oh,
me. So we actually had to have people leave our office and work from home. All of the weird stuff that was happening in the world, it wasn't a good thing, but it worked for our business. Um, am I there? It says, can you see me? It says I don't have an internet connection. Am I
it was
back?
breaking up a little bit. I think you're back. It could I think it started to break up when you were talking about like things changing, people starting to work from home.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, in 2020, our staff had to go work from home. So they were more flexible, which turned out to be a good thing where it allowed us to give more work to them, to work on their own time, and help me out. And I feel very blessed that we built a great supportive team who were very helpful and did step up. And my husband is my business partner in the social media agency, so I feel terrible, but he was my caregiver and did all the work I couldn't do. So poor thing. I owe him a lot.
I
um,
I um I think that's so beautiful though that you have that support system, and I think it's a really kind of wise thing for people to look at as an entrepreneur. Like, while yes, it's exciting to work by yourself, and when you're starting out, just having that foresight to really think about the future and what you want that to look like. And when you do have a team, it also gives you a little more freedom to kind of address things like this that you don't know, and then also address breaks you want to just take in your life.
Yeah. And I always wanted to set up my business as location independent.
Mm-hmm.
So I do remember my husband driving me to chemotherapy and me being on my phone creating social media posts for our clients. So it didn't matter. Like, no, the clients didn't know anything was going on. And that's how I always wanted to set up my business, where if someone gets sick, someone else figures it, takes it over, or the system, or it's automated. Nobody knew, like nobody was affected
Yeah.
by me going through a year and a half of cancer treatments.
Well, you had also said about, your mindset around all sorts of things, including losing clients and things like that. And I'm sure you've experienced that through COVID and all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about that shift in perspective?
Yeah. So this is what I used to practice with, I think, because, we're running a business of things are going to happen. For example, a big client leaves and the initial thought is, this is horrible. We're going to go out of business. Where is my money going to come from? But that didn't lead to the results that I wanted. It would lead to panic, which led to me, like, again, freezing and not doing anything. So, and what's interesting is it's different for every person. So the framework is a situation happens and then you tell yourself a story about it. The story is filled with your words, your thoughts, and that evokes certain emotions. Your emotions encourage certain behaviors which lead to results. And so knowing what results you want helps you deliberately tell the right story to lead to emotions, to lead to actions, to lead to results. And I said to my husband and business partner one day when I like to play with this framework, and I said, well, if you needed to go get some more clients, you need to go make offers and get us some new clients. What kind of feeling would you need to have? And I assumed I knew the answer because I know what I need to feel. Like,
Right.
so I'll ask you, Kendra, what if you need to go get a client today, what do you need to feel?
I need to feel excited about the potential of meeting someone new and potentially helping someone do something incredible.
Mhm.
That's really it. I need that excitement, and I need the drive to do it. Well, and just know that I have the space. So like if it's a necessity and I need to go get new clients, I try to live in excitement.
Great, great. And I'm like that too. And the feelings that I like to think about are I need to feel valuable and I need to feel confident that I
Yes.
can help someone. And then I'm excited to go out and make offers. So there are days, like we know as business owners, we need to get clients. So why are we not every day going out and getting clients? We're not, because what we need to do is tell ourselves a story to make ourselves feel that way to motivate us. So when I said to my husband, what do you need to feel? He said, I need to feel fear.
Oh, wow.
I said, well, tell me more. And he said, if I tell myself a story that if I don't get a client, then we're going to lose our business and then we won't be able to pay our mortgage and our daughter won't be able to finish college, then that motivates me to go get another client. And I think what that told me is it's so interesting that it is completely personal. So you don't have to follow someone else's rules because they may not work for you.
Right.
Me feeling fear paralyzes me, but
100%.
fear motivates him. So the idea is not to feel this way, it's to feel what way would motivate you to do a certain action that would lead to the results that you want. Then you tell yourself a story that leads to that emotion. I'm not going to tell myself a story that leads to fear if I want to get a new client.
Yeah, no.
So, what do you want and what do you need to feel? And how cool that we all have the choice and the freedom to make our own choices.
I that's I never thought about that. That's going to live in my head for a while. Um,
Cool.
the other thing I wanted to ask you about, so you had these videos go viral. And I think a huge part of why is because you were so yourself and it wasn't anything that was curated or that I'd never seen anybody do anything like you did, which I think is why it stands out so much. Can you talk about how being authentic and really owning who you are and putting that out there helped your business and yourself?
Yes, I was brought up being taught, and I think most of us are, that we should be as put together and perfect as possible before we get in front of other people. And I don't know if every young woman grew up with a mother who, like, you can't go out of the house without makeup and the shoe, like, you can't have a scuff on your shoes. And I would always think, who's looking at my shoes? And my mother convinced me, no, everyone is looking at every part of you. And she, I'm not saying this to complain, or this
No.
is who she was, and is still. And you know, even like I'm scratching my nose now, she would tell me that doesn't look good on video. So I felt like I had to be perfect, which is not me. So when I would go present and do videos, I loved videos even for years before 2020, when videos became, short form videos became big. But I always wanted to put myself out there in pictures and in videos and presentations. And they were always a little stiff
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to be perfect and I was over rehearsed, memorizing lines so that I didn't say and didn't forget what, because if you forget and you pause, that's not perfect. And it never connected. You know, I could tell it never felt like me. It was me pretending. I always thought, you know, I'm really cool in person. Why do the light goes on the record button and I become a different person and I'm not me? When, like, I felt like in 2020 I didn't have a choice. I had a weird body. I had no hair, no eyelashes, and no eyebrow. Like I could have hid under the covers, but I still wanted to get out there. And so I just did. And that's when people started wanting more from me. And I thought, how interesting. And it taught me, no, I still want to put on makeup and do my hair. But if I have an idea that I want to share, oh my gosh, I have this great idea for a video. I, I don't have makeup. Oh, I don't look good today. Or should I spend an hour? Let's just get on the video and those videos do better than when I get all dressed up and I put on the lighting and then I'm in the perfect, it's, it's just it gives you so much freedom because you're allowed to just no one is looking at your eyeliner and your lipstick. They are listening to your amazing words. They're not connecting with you when you're being stiff. they are connecting with you when you're just, when you, and you don't think, because you're just having a conversation. You can stammer, you can forget, you can laugh at yourself. And I think laughter is one of the best ways to connect. So that's what, when I found things that were funny, I created content around it to share that with people.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite ones was the things that you used to do when you had hair, and now that you didn't, and it was like, the comb, or like tucking your hair behind your ear. So funny, but so relatable. And when you're thinking about who you are as an entrepreneur and your personal brand, or your business's brand, I think that is such a huge part of it. And it's the only way to make yourself stand out, because it's the only thing that people can't copy. They can copy a
Yeah.
service, they can copy a product, but nobody can copy you.
It's so true. And one of the things that I find fascinating is being ourselves should be the easiest thing in the world, because we don't have to learn how to, but we do. We do have to learn how to be ourselves on video,
It's
especially.
so hard.
And I've learned, yeah, it's weird. Like, just
Yeah.
don't pretend, just be yourself. That's easy. It isn't easy. But I've learned these techniques and these little methods that I teach, because when you do these few things for yourself, you don't have to put them out into the world, but these little activities that you could try for a day or 7 days, and they always help you be more yourself on video. And so that's what, and sometimes I need to practice them again.
Yeah.
But they're really fun and they really help. And so just find activities that help you be yourself. And when you are yourself, oh, you said relatable.
Yeah.
I think it's hysterical that you said me forgetting I had no hair was relatable. You didn't lose your
No.
hair. Why was that relatable? So what I learned is the actual thing you're going through is not what needs to be relatable. We often don't share something because we think it's personal and not relatable. It's what you do with it and how you react to it and your story around it. When you share that, that is relatable.
Yeah. I mean, the best content, and I have to thank you for that, because I really struggled with putting video out there, because I didn't know, like, I thought, well, I have to have the right outfit, and I have to look a certain way, and have a persona that, speaks to my ideal client and all of these things. And when I started putting out, and just as sort of a test, because I think it might have been one of your challenges that I started doing this, I was recording during my walks, because that is like my favorite moment in the day, taking my hike, going through the woods. And I'm sweaty and I'm gross and I'm out of breath, but I get more feedback from those. I've had so many people in real life come up to me and say, I saw your video and I started running again. Or I saw your video and it got me outside and now I'm XYZ. And it was shocking that all the other curated content and tips and tricks about, being a business owner, but this was like the thing that people were really connecting to.
Wow. So
Very
good,
good.
because you were being you and
Yeah.
sharing good content.
Yeah. Yes. That's the other part of it. Well, so how can people get your book? Amazon? Can we go on there, check it
You
out?
can go on Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Noble, you can get it at any bookstore. It may not be in the stores, but they all have it available. So any bookseller will have it. Actually, I can, because if you think that you can't turn a challenging situation into your greatest celebration, actually you can.
I love the title. Did you have any feedback on the title before you chose it?
Yeah, the title a few years ago when I first thought of the book was completely different,
Really?
and yeah, and
I love
I had gotten a temporary tattoo during my treatments that said "Actually, I can." That felt really good to me, and I put it on, and I was sad when it washed off. But my book agent one day said to me, "What if the title was just Actually, I Can?" And that, like, my whole body had buzzes. So I was like, I guess that's it.
I love it. And I can't wait to take your becoming a viral author class too.
Yay. Awesome. Good. Let's become a viral author
Yes.
author together.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to actually be giving away a few of Nika's books, and I'll leave the instructions for that in the show notes. So thank you everyone for joining us. Go find Nika on YouTube and all of the social platforms. She is amazing and inspirational and a bright spot in any of my social media travels.
Thank you so much. You are so awesome.